The emergency room at the Pitt has never felt more like a war zone, and episode 12 is shaping up to be the most devastating hour of television this season, one that could shatter the last person anyone expected to break. Coming off the emotionally brutal events of episode 11, the newly released trailer for episode 12 wastes no time signaling that the chaos is far from over. If anything, it is only getting started. Emma's attack in the closing moments of the previous episode has set off a chain reaction throughout the ER, and the ripple effects are already threatening to pull every major character under. The trailer opens on a rare moment of levity, a brief, almost comedic beat involving Joyce, the newest addition to the team, as she tends to a patient who appears to have been brought in with a head injury. When she asked the patient whether he was in any pain, he said no, and Joyce instinctively muttered "oops" out loud, an internal thought that had clearly slipped past her filter on what is still her very first day on the floor. The patient, clearly confused, immediately asked what "oops" meant. Dr. Robbie, catching the moment from across the room, looked more amused than alarmed, a brief exhale before the storm. It is a small scene, but it carries weight, reminding viewers that beneath all the trauma and tension, these are human beings learning in real time, making mistakes, and figuring out how to carry on. That lightness does not last. Duke, speaking in what appears to be a candid moment with Dr. Robbie, described the ER with a single striking image. "I can feel it in the air. This place is like quicksand." The line lands hard. Dr. Robbie is now only hours away from his long-awaited sabbatical, and while the staff around him seems to assume he will return, there have been enough quiet, unsettling moments this season to suggest that he may not be planning to come back at all. Duke's words feel less like small talk and more like a mirror being held up, a recognition that this job consumes the people who dedicate themselves to it, piece by piece, until there is nothing left. Their exchange promises to be one of the most emotionally honest conversations of the season. Two men who have quietly been there for each other in ways the rest of the ER has not noticed. Meanwhile, Dr. Langdon is walking into the most dangerous professional moment of his career. Dr. Al-Hashimi overheard Dr. Santos openly discussing his history of stealing medication from the hospital to fuel his addiction, a secret that had previously been held tightly between a small circle. Al-Hashimi, who had gone out of her way to support Langdon earlier in the season when no one else would, now faces a reckoning with everything she thought she knew about him. She is a doctor who operates by the book, someone for whom rules are not just guidelines but a framework for trust, and that trust has now been fundamentally compromised. The trailer shows her watching Langdon from a distance as he tends to a patient who had driven himself to the hospital and lost consciousness just before reaching the entrance and was found by Dr. Whitaker. The look on Al-Hashimi's face is not angry. It is something worse. It is the look of someone reassessing everything. The situation inside Central Room 14 escalates quickly. A code is called Code Hula Hoop, Central 14, and Dr. Robbie, alongside security personnel, is seen rushing toward the room in a state of visible alarm. With Emma having been held by a patient in that exact room at the end of episode 11, it is clear that the crisis is still unfolding. Dr. Santos tells Joy, "hospital worker assault," and the camera cuts immediately to Dana walking into the women's bathroom alone. The connection is intentional and devastating. Dana has been the unshakable one all season. While Dr. Santos has openly wrestled with burnout, and Dr. Robbie has carried the weight of a man counting down to his escape, Dana has been the steady hand, the one who shows up, holds the line, and keeps everyone else from falling apart. But the show has been laying groundwork for a harder truth, that the person who says nothing is often the one who is drowning the most. In Season 1, Episode 9, Dana was attacked inside that same hospital. She survived it, moved forward, and never let the wound show. Now, with Emma suffering a nearly identical fate in a room Dana knows too well, all of that buried trauma appears to be rushing back to the surface at once. The trailer shows her in the bathroom, on the edge of a panic attack, tears breaking through the composure she has maintained for months. Dr. Robbie, finding her outside on a break, asked her directly, "You ever going to tell me what really happened in there?" Dana's response, quiet, deflecting, raises the possibility that she may have already intervened in room 14 before anyone else arrived, driven by a desperate need to protect Emma the way no one protected her. It is the kind of moment that could define her arc for the rest of the season. Dr. Al-Hashimi then confronts Dr. Robbie, telling him plainly, "I'm very concerned by what I've witnessed today with some of the staff." The conversation is clearly about Langdon, but depending on how Dana's situation develops, it may extend further. A separate shot shows Dr. Robbie and Dr. Santos in a tense face-to-face exchange, suggesting he may push back on how she handled the situation, calling out the fact that her decision to expose Langdon's past in such a public, reckless way has now put the entire department in a difficult position. Robbie has never been Langdon's biggest advocate, but professionalism is professionalism, and Santos crossed a line. As the season builds toward its finale, Episode 12 looks set to bring every unresolved thread crashing into each other at once. Dr. Robbie's sabbatical, Langdon's secrets, Dana's unprocessed trauma, the ongoing mystery of baby Jane Doe, and the near-constant flood of new patients arriving on what appears to be the single most overwhelming day in the ER's recent history. None of it is going to resolve quietly. The show has always understood that the people who work in emergency medicine are carrying battles of their own, and this episode seems ready to put that reality front and center. The question hanging over everything is whether Dr. Robbie will actually walk out those doors tonight, and if he does, whether he intends to walk back through them. His inner demons have been hinted at all season without ever being fully named, and there is a growing sense that before this season ends, the audience is finally going to find out what has been haunting him. Whether that revelation comes as a relief or a gut punch remains to be seen. What do you think is going to happen in episode 12? Will Dana finally open up about her trauma, or will she push through it the way she always has? And do you believe, Doctor, Robbie is actually going to make it to his sabbatical? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Subscribe so you never miss a breakdown, and hit the like button if you are as hooked on this season as the rest of us are.